Hi, I'm Oliver Grantham at the Life Coach Podcast, and it's time to check in with yourself. So wherever you are right now, breathe that little bit more deeply than you normally would, in and out 3 times, making that conscious decision to breathe in just that little bit more deeply than you normally would, and out, fully exhaling and fully inhaling and exhaling. One more time, inhaling, and on the exhale, finally, on this third occasion, just say to yourself, I am here. Good. This week, is anything holding you back? Are you stuck? Do you want to get unstuck? Or, as it's called, procrastination. So, I'm inviting you here to think right now about, is there anything you're wanting to do but haven't done? Anything you need to do but haven't done? Is anything holding you back? And this is a lot more of a common problem than you maybe realise. And in this particular episode, I'm going to just talk generally about and give you ideas on how I can help you to overcome procrastination, overcome getting unstuck. And first, I'd like to just speak about how it can come about. And we have a natural disposition to stay in our comfort zone, okay? And over a period of time, if things don't get done, a molehill can become a mountain. And psychologically, I'll post an article up on the podcast Facebook page for this as well. We are psychologically predisposed to having just short-term gratification and not able to see the bigger picture. So because our minds are conditioned to think in small, very almost now or very short-term chunks, if you can't see the bigger picture, then it's more difficult to see the bigger picture and then break it down into small chunks. Okay, so this is how it comes about. We're psychologically programmed not to think about medium to long-term futures, and that's why it's so hard. Some people find it impossible to move forward. And throughout this podcast, I'm just going to mention a client that I've recently seen who was a bit of a hoarder in her house, and where appropriate, I'll mention her. The causes of putting things off and getting stuck and staying stuck in a rut can cause depression, which is a general term and can cover a multitude of things, but it includes not enjoying life, not wanting to get out, social exemption, that kind of thing. And you can find yourself on a really downward, deep spiral if you don't address getting unstuck, if you don't look at ways in which you can stop procrastinating about something. And molehills do become mountains. This client I just mentioned, she was a hoarder in her house, and it wasn't dirty, it's just that she had lots and lots of clutter everywhere in every room in her house, and she wanted to decorate the house and didn't even know where to begin because of all the clutter. And clutter was compacting on clutter after clutter after clutter, and she couldn't see the wood for the trees. Okay, so I've explained to you a little bit about what procrastination is and how it comes about, so you can forgive yourself. Really, don't judge yourself, or forgive yourself if you've been putting something off, and what the causes can be that can become actually very serious in the end. So what I'm going to offer you now are reasons or solutions as to what you might be able to do to overcome something. So if you've got something in mind now about something that you want to change, just think about that now. And I'm going to, I suppose, offer you different ideas and suggestions, because the causes of procrastination, causes of getting stuck, are numerous and can vary from person to person, and can be compacted in that they are codependent. So one or more of what I'm going to mention now might apply to you, and it's important to remember as well that you might not even realize that these apply to you. So if you can remain as relaxed and as honest with yourself as you can when I go through this with you, then to have some insights and realizations about things can, I hope, help. And that's what I'm the main objective of what I'm trying to do today, which is to give you ideas on new ways of thinking about any particular kind of getting unstuck problem that you might have. So the first thing is that it's important to think about what is good in it for you. Your current behavior of not doing something, this is a serious question, okay? What do you actually get that's good from it? This is based on the idea that people won't change if the benefits they get from it outweigh the benefits of changing. If the benefits of not changing outweigh the benefits of changing, then you're going to stay where you're at. So it might even help to really think about this, or even write it down. Be completely and entirely honest with yourself. And one thing I do with my clients is in hypnosis, because a lot of not doing things behavior is really ingrained in the subconscious. Hypnosis can bring this out. In this podcast, I'm not going to do that. So if you're finding it difficult to do that, then do let me know, and I'll think about how I can help you more with some form of hypnosis, which I can put as a download on my Facebook group, which you need to join if you want to look at the other resources I've got there. So what are you getting that is good from your current behaviour? Examine the way you are doing things or not doing things right now and list. In my client's case, she didn't realise it until after a couple of hypnosis sessions, but she realised that she was hoarding all the stuff that her late mother had been giving her. And of course, naturally, she was very attached to her mother. And that's why she was doing what she was doing, because it was like an emotional pilgrimage, respect from her mother, not to let the memory of her mother change in any way. The next thing is, and it's related to this really, that there's what's called away from motivation and towards motivation. It's much more powerful, isn't it, to not do something to avoid pain or discomfort. And again, in my client's case, she didn't want to go through the pain of ripping an strong emotional bond with her mother away. And she had a very emotional codependence on that idea. And it's connected with the next thing I'm going to say, which is the fear of the future. Fear of the future and what that might bring, instead of thinking about the now. So think about, what can I do right now? I don't have to do a massive thing right now. I can just make it that little start. If you knew what it was, it could just make it start to begin to change. What would that be? And another fear is fear of failure. What will doing this do for you? Maybe it's something you don't want. Think about what the overall impact of the decision and action that you're going to take from that decision is going to be. In my client's case, after a few sessions, we realised not only, it was the session after the session I've just mentioned, so into session 3, she realised that I helped her change her perception of this. I said, well, are there anything in particular, are there any really special things that your mother had that you would really want to hold on to? And after some thought, she said, yes, there is. And she told me what they were. And I said, well, can you see them? Can you hold them? Can you find them? And realised that the vast majority of those 4 or 5 things, about 4 of those 5 things, she couldn't even find because they were buried. And so I just raised the suggestion with her about, well, to really hold on to and respect your mother's memory and to continue that bond, why don't you just find those things, keep them safe so they don't get buried again, and then you can get rid of all the other stuff, because the most important things and even more serious things are there for you. And that seemed to do the trick. Okay, that really helped her. We, as I mentioned earlier, next point, we never see the bigger picture. So it's important to think about what or where you see yourself with the issue that you're thinking about now in a week's time, a couple of weeks' time, a couple of months' time, and if it continues, next few months, next few years. The next thing is, what skills do you need to change? Are the skills that you already have? Can you already do what you do? Or do you believe that you need the skills? If you do have the skills, maybe what you're wanting to change just doesn't seem right at the moment, at a more kind of a deep level. Another question to ask you and something to help you is, what's stopping you? Be very honest with yourself. It's related to quite a lot of what I've been saying already, but what is stopping you as against the benefits of changing? If you change the perception of your present situation, looking at medium to long-term future gain, and motivate yourself to move towards the bigger picture by visualizing or mentally rehearsing, in other words, then making a conscious decision to take action. Write it down as to-do lists, as a to-do point. Take action. Now you've got the blueprint of the visualization of where you're going. You can break it down into chunks, manageable chunks that must, of course, be SMART objectives, something that you may have heard about. But if you haven't, then drop me a line on that and I can explain that to you a bit more. But the idea is that when you write down your to-do list, you should ask yourself a serious question, which is, can I realistically achieve this? Is it measurable? Can I do it in the time that I said I was going to do? It takes an element of being truly honest with yourself, then trying it out. And remember, it's what you write down here as a to-do is only a working document in progress. What you can do is change it as you go along. An important philosophy I'd like to share with you is, if you want to understand, truly understand, act. Okay, you need to do things. It's no point trying. I was speaking with another one of my clients the other day about this. There's no point just thinking that you've done things. You actually have to do them, and that changes through the activity of experience. That changes the way in which you truly understand to do things. Okay, so bear that in mind as well. Okay, so I hope I've given you ideas here on something or some things that you can do to really change something that you've been stuck on and has perhaps been haunting you for quite some time, in the sense that I've given you suggestions here on how you can start thinking very differently about the way you're viewing the current situation and how you can change that situation by mentally rehearsing in the future what it will be like for you. And another thing I can suggest is, in terms of writing down what you need to do to achieve that, is to work backwards. So give yourself a time frame now. What time in what time period do you think you can actually do it? Okay, to actually fulfill the desired change that you want to do. Imagine going back in time. So really enjoying the time and celebrating the time in your own mind when you've achieved what you wanted to achieve, and work backwards. So what would have been the last thing that you did before celebrating that achievement? And what was the thing before then? And the thing before then? And the thing before then? Until you reach today, at this moment. So get a piece of paper and start writing the last thing you did before the celebratory moment. Write the celebratory moment down as well, of course, at the bottom of the page, and maybe with a few notes about how you intend to celebrate. How do you want to celebrate your achievement? It's important to celebrate your achievements. It gives you some more motivation. You can say to yourself, right, well, when I've done this, I will do this. And that achievement might be to celebrate with a friend, or it might be to move on to the next thing, because there's another thing about this. Success breeds success. The overall feeling that you get when you've achieved what you've wanted to achieve, you just want more of it. Okay? So it's very addictive in that way. And if you feel as though you're missing out on that kind of a wonderful feeling, then why not make a start now? Why not make a start on tackling something that's not overwhelming for you, but isn't underwhelming either? Something that's middling in between, and see how you go with the suggestions that I'm making. And just going back to the piece of paper, write down how you're going to celebrate at the bottom. If you're not completely sure, just write down some general ideas on how you might want to. Remember, this is a working document in progress, and it can change. Okay, and then you write a list of things that you're going to do backwards. So you write up the page rather than down the page. And then when you finish doing that, and please do devote quite a lot of time to this, I would say on average this would take you at least half an hour, if not an hour. Then leave yourself, say, 10 minutes of that hour at the end, just to review and go in forwards chronologically on all the things, because that can help your mind to refine and change any of the stages, any of the points. And then, of course, it will be refined over a period of time as you begin to act upon the first thing that's on that list. I'm Oliver Grantham at the Life Coach Podcast. Live show coming up this coming Sunday. Okay, this podcast goes out pre-recorded on a Monday, with every other Monday, with a live show where I'm simultaneous on Facebook. So if you want to see me speaking with you, then head on over to My Matters for Life Co UK on Facebook, and if you prefer or want to at the same time hear me on the live show, where you've got an opportunity to type in questions that you'd like to ask me, that I'd be happy to answer. It went very well a couple of weeks ago on my first podcast. Then please do feel free. If you want to ask me questions in advance of the show, that'd be good. Please do email me, oliver@mindmattersforlife.co.uk, or join my Facebook group, which is the Life Coach Podcast. Okay, so until the next time, take care of yourself, and it's bye for now.